Now, what is up, my fellow prod coders? Welcome to this video, and today we'll have a look at the Yelp Fusion API. So right now we're pretty much done with our components, but we're actually not loading data from a real server, and this is about to change. So let's take a look at where we can load data from. So Yelp has a pretty nice API actually. So if you go to yelp.com/developers, you can see all the projects. And what we are interested in is their Yelp Fusion API. So this is a REST API from which we can pull data. And by the way, they also offer a GraphQL API, but I thought let's just go with the REST API because it's just easier. And let's do one thing at a time. Let's just demonstrate hooks with REST APIs, and then maybe later on we can have a look at GraphQL. So if you haven't created an account for this website, please do so. You can see here at the top that I already have an account. So you might need to log in with your Google account or your Facebook account or just with email. So go ahead and click on Yelp Fusion. And well, they explain some things here, but the important thing is actually here the documentation. So in the documentation here for the API version 3, they outline how the API works. And one important thing before we get started, we need to create an API credential. So if you want to pull data from the Yelp API, you need to authenticate against this API, and you get a certain quota, and Yelp just wants to make sure that you're not spamming them. So in order to connect to the API, go to Manage App. It could also be possible that since you haven't created an app, like it's somehow named differently, but it should be the first point here. And in here you will see some details. And what's really important here is this one. And here is a word of warning, like do not share this API key with anyone else. So if you fill out that stuff here and at the bottom you can just click yes, create API key, then they will give you this token. And make sure to not share it with anyone, and also make sure to not put it inside your Git repo if you have a public Git repo, right? And here you see, okay, you have some API limits. Yeah, and speaking of source control, actually I just noticed that we forgot to commit our things from the last tutorial. So let's quickly do that. Oops, let's quickly do that. So we can say git status, and then git add -a, git commit -m. What did we do? We kind of make app more dynamic. And then we will just push all these things. And by the way, feel free to commit as often as you want to, like commit early and often. That's a pretty good practice. But back to the topic. So now that we have our API key, we can actually start having a look at the documentation. And just go to Yelp Fusion here and click on Introduction. And in here they talk about, what kind of different endpoints they have and what you can use. And before you read all of that, there is this fancy little button here, and it's called Run in Postman. So Postman is a tool that allows you to make requests to servers with basically all kinds of HTTP verbs and authentication mechanisms. So it's pretty nice. And if you haven't installed this tool, please head over to getpostman.com and click on download the app. So it's a pretty nice tool. It's super popular and also widely used, also in a professional context, and it's free, or like at least the basic version is free. So if you click on Run in Postman, it's going to open up this deep link here, and then since I have Postman installed on my Mac, I can just click here, and then I can say open in Postman. And bam, you will see that we have a new collection over here. So Postman organizes requests or API calls inside collections. So a collection is just a folder to group requests. And what we are interested in is this /businesses/search. Because remember, if you go to our site and type in a search term, we're actually searching for businesses. So that's pretty nice. And let's just try to execute this request and see what happens. So if you click on send, oops. So you see, oh, there's a validation error. And here it says, bureau does not match, and then some regex. So what this means is we are not authorized to make this request because we have to send our API key along. And the way that the Yelp API is doing authentication is by taking this API key we just created, like this one, and put it inside the header of our HTTP request. And they use a bureau token. So what we can do is we can go to authorization, to this tab, and then we need to select what kind of authorization we want. So right now we don't have anything, but actually a bureau token here is required. So you just click on bureau token here, and then you can just copy and paste your token in here. And let's just hit send. And bam, nice. So you can already see now that we've put in the token, we can see that we get some results. So we get some JSON object back, and it contains a field called businesses, which is an array, and it contains a list of businesses. So right now we're searching for latitude, longitude, and term, but we can also search for location, I think. So if we search for burgers in Berlin, then we get this, nice. So you can either search for latitude and longitude, but right now we're not so interested in that. We're only interested in putting in a search term and putting in a location. And you can see the two parameters here. So you don't have to edit them in the URL directly. You can also edit them in this field here. So if you say San Francisco, maybe let's say, yeah, Hamburg. This is just another German city. So you can also edit the parameters over here if you want, or if you prefer, that might be a little bit easier. But let's take a quick look at what we get back. So we get back like some information, some images. We get some categories back. So this will be super nice for displaying some tags. Then we also have a rating, like a number, 4.5. So pretty good rating actually. The location. So right now we don't care about it that much. And also we have the price. So it seems like not super cheap, but it's like reasonable. And also some address over here. And here we also have some phone. So this is actually quite useful information, and we should think about how to include this API inside our app, and we're going to use hooks for that. So this was like our little introduction to the Yelp API. I hope you like it. I hope you liked it. And in the next video, we will actually start implementing this. So thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to give the video a thumbs up. And also another quick reminder from the last video. So I've set up this email list where you can sign up for. And from time to time, I'm going to send a few polls around so that you guys can decide what you want to see on the channel. And if I see a specific pattern, or if you have some ideas on what tutorial I should make, then you can let me know in these polls, and then I'll see what I can do. So again, thank you very much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.